a day longer to, I'm not God, as long as God wants you. So today on the show, we're going to be looking at quite a number of interesting topics. We're going to be looking at the health space, what's happening in the global space and here on the local scene. We're going to be giving you some health information and hopefully a tip here or two when it comes to the health space. Today on the show, we're going to be looking at an interesting topic, and I'll give you those details right after we pay some bills.
Speaking at the handover ceremony of the solar facilities supported by Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, and UNICEF at the Pool Primary Health Care Center in Abuja, the minister said the intervention in 371 primary health care centers across 17 states and the Federal Capital Territory will ensure reliable electricity supply for vaccine storage and other essential services. He explained that stable power will strengthen vaccine cold chains, improve working conditions for health workers, and support digital connectivity for health data reporting.
Beyond that, it also impacts the community. The solar is not only going to light up the facility, even the neighboring facilities, the neighboring communities will see the benefit of this enhanced light. So it's building the primary healthcare center is really at the center of the community, and we're reaching that by converging effort.
As we celebrate this achievement and we look ahead, continued collaboration is vital to maintain. Also for this facility, we have to look at ownership, we have to look at maintenance, we have to look at continuous functionality.
The facility has power and light, and this means that at the minimum, they won't be able to turn back any patients at night because of the lack of light and visibility. So it's a good example to show how much just 8 kilowatts can change in a health facility.
The executive director of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Muyi Aino, said the project specifically targets communities with high numbers of zero-dose children who have missed routine immunization. He noted that the solar system will help upgrade the affected facilities to level 2 primary healthcare centers with essential infrastructure, including power, water, sanitation, medical equipment, and other commodities required for effective service delivery.
In all, we are revitalizing actively over 4,000 PHCs now. Almost 2,600 of those are completed. These sort of solar power systems have been put in almost all of the revitalized, but beyond the ones that are revitalized, there's another 400 or so that have just been given solar power because that's all they need to get to level 2. And all of this, again, for everyone here, can be tracked on the PHC functionality dashboard.
Without lights, we cannot do anything. Without lights, we cannot even be here today. So this is not only for vaccines and immunization, it is indeed a game changer for the health systems.
This energy that has been provided is sufficient to cater for the cold chain systems, is sufficient to cater for all the service delivery points, whether it is ANC, it is OPD, it is sufficient to cater for it. It's also sufficient to cater for night service of the facilities. So whatever the facility needs to run on, these 8 kilowatts inverter systems that have been provided is sufficient to cater for that.
Health authorities say the solarization project is expected to strengthen vaccine storage, improve service delivery, and enhance healthcare access for millions of Nigerians living in underserved communities.
eHealth Africa, a leading health organization globally and in the African space, put up a convergence for stakeholders to meet on the antibacterial resistance stakeholders meeting and community access to effective antibiotics initiative, ComWatch.
We know antibiotic resistance continues to be a challenge to public health, not only in Nigeria, but globally. We heard today that over 40% of burden of people are being impacted on because of AMR, which is antimicrobial resistance. And so last year, JPIGO and eHealth Africa bidded for a grant that was funded by Trinity Challenge UK, and that grant was applied they had over 200 applications from over 50 countries, and Nigeria won. And my team and I led that application process, and we won the grant funded by Trinity Challenge to generate data to help with stock control for antibiotics and also substandard and falsified antibiotics.
This preferred solutions for an integrated data-driven technology designed to control stock in real time and detect substandard and falsified antibiotics. It also empowers community, vendors, and stakeholders to combat antimicrobial resistance. It seeks to access inadequate antibiotic stock and the circulation of substandard or falsified antibiotics that undermine effectiveness and accelerated the spread of MAR, ensuring access to safe, quality, assured antibiotics.
ComWatch, it's designed to be that easy-to-use solution that helps identify substandard and falsified antibiotics in Nigeria, and also help, patent medical vendors and community pharmacies, including Agrovet, to manage their antibiotics stocks as well. So we hope that this solution will be able to increase the kind of data that we need around antibiotics used in Nigeria and help the different regulatory agencies in Nigeria to take decisions around antibiotic use. This particular project is being launched today by the DG of NCDC, and we have the participation of NAFDAC because the entire solution is being built and aligned with the NAFDAC Green Book, which is actually the only recognized government regulatory agency to register all drugs that comes into Nigeria. So it means that what we are using the solution to do is that for every antibiotics we are helping to scan with the solution, that verification, is done at the back end with the NAFDAC Green Book. So which means we're having a close working relationship with NAFDAC.
Optimizing their use across 6 pilot states in Nigeria, Kano, Gombe, FCT, Akwa Ibom, Ebonyi, and Ekiti State. ComWatch aligned with strategic objectives of the National Action Plan, which focuses on strengthening procurement and distribution system to help eliminate substandard and falsified antimicrobials. Welcome right back. I did say I was going to give you a very interesting topic. That's correct. We're going to be looking at the importance of digital literacy, especially in the health space. That's where digital literacy in the health space comes in, as well as authorships. Yes, so you can actually fact check, still use your platform, which is the online search engines, but this time you actually get credible information that ensures that you stay living healthier, and these are actually fact-checked and probably also, produced by medical practitioners. But you know what? I'm going to bring in someone that has all the details, and he goes by the name Solomon for a start. And if you know a thing or two about Solomon, wisdom. Get what I mean? All right, then. Nice to meet you.
Okay, nice to meet you too.
All right, so you're a man of many hats, so I'm going to let you let us know what hat you're wearing for this program.
Okay, I'm actually the CTO of NTIP. NTIP is a digital platform for books. It stands Nigerian Tertiary Institution Authors Platform. That's what NTIP is all about. I'm the CTO of the organization.
Absolutely amazing. So in a world where digital literacy, technology, AI is now the order of the game, how important, first up, do you think it is for us as humans and as far as our health is concerned, from, a beneficiary, pretty much a human's viewpoint?
Okay, first of all, I just want to make them understand what digital literacy is all about. Digital literacy, in a simple term, it means like knowing how to use the internet and also the digital tools, wisely. So that's what digital literacy is all about. And it's very, very important in the time that we are, looking at, within a second, you have access to a lot of information. So how do you now use those information wisely? And then how you use the internet wisely? Basically, that's what digital literacy is all about. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. So how exactly does digital literacy influence a user or a person's opinion to be able to get credible information when it comes to the health space? And what could be the damages, or what could be the other way around of not getting proper information?
Okay, when you talk about the health, health is very delicate, and then the information you consume matters a lot. So, like, one thing I would like to say is the ability for one to check information correctly, of the person that wrote those information, and also to be able to understand the institution or organization backing those information, not just believing what Google says or not believing. I think that's majorly that. And then what again?
How does it influence the reliability of fact-checking when it comes to the health space? How exactly is digital literacy a game changer when it comes to misinformation in the health space?
Yeah, it's actually a game changer. Platform is a digital platform where verified authors publish their books for consumption purpose for students, for anybody that may really want to, get educated or get content written by professionals. So that's what our platform, helping connecting authors and then readers. That's just the link, the bridge or the gap we're trying to cover.
So you're able to properly accredit the information with the right source, as opposed to just going online and just checking as per anywhere.
Yeah.
How exactly do you think these digital literacy tools can be used to empower the health sector as a whole? Which areas do you think this can help? And then my second question would be in the educational space, because you mentioned students, and if you know, handouts, I don't know if there's still a thing of now, but it's something that used to happen a lot. But if some of these lecturers, especially in the medical space, could be able to translate some of these into digital literacy tools, I think there might be an easier synergy. But I'm not the expert. So how would you bring that setting to the school space? If we were to come to you, how would you ensure the synergy between the lecturers, the students, their information, or what they call handouts, to become digital authors?
About how to bring synergy between the lecturers and then the authors and the student. Majorly what we are doing is we discover a gap that some of the authors, they publish their book or they write their book, and then there is no any other platform for them to sell it out to people, for it to become like a tool for people to use in terms of like having a digital, to become a digital literate. So what we do is through our platform, right, the use of all the printing of handout and all those things, we are trying to eradicate all those things by, connecting the author. The lecturers can be the authors, bringing them, after curating or publishing their book, they bring it to our platform. We verify them critically and then understand the content of that book and all those things, and then put it on our platform for people consumption. Mitigating the sites or the part you talk about, people buying handout and all those things. So what you do on our platform is just for you to buy the book, and then you have it for lifetime. You'll be able to read it without, buying this, and then all the middlemen and all those things. So we are cutting that through our platform.
Thank you so much for that. Welcome right back to the show. Yes, it is Health Digest, as I did tell you, your one-stop program for your health information. I'm Okemere Tokwa, and I am here to serve. So, if you didn't know, on the 3rd of March was World Hearing Day, and on the 15th of March is World Speech Day. And in the health sector and the world calendar, it's a really big, big day for us, especially for me, because if I cannot speak to you and you cannot hear me, this whole process will not even be happening. So it is very, very, very paramount. And I hope that you listen and hopefully can, give me feedback in the comment section on our social media so that I know that you actually heard me and your speech is improved. And here with me, I have an expert in the house. I'm going to have him introduce himself so that he can better give us his world of experience. And we're going to get straight to it. Good evening, sir.
Hello, good evening.
Nice, nice. So please tell us, what is your name and what are we doing today?
Okay. My name is Charles Ogwoke. I am a speech language pathologist, the CEO and founder of Success Speech and Language Resource Center, Abuja here. And today we are here to talk about word hearing and speech there, because as a living soul, we cannot do without hearing and speech.
Yes.
And when this has been denied, it affects us in every sphere of our lives.
At which point, okay, so this is not your first, second, or third time on the program. You're definitely becoming our in-house guest. So for a lot of people, that introduction was just so that they can get acclimated. So I want to know, when it comes to the major things you've mentioned, speech and hearing, at what point in the formation of a human being are these things, important to check? Can you find out if there are defects or how good your hearing or your speaking will be? Is it possible to find out at the point of conception before we get into the nitty-gritty?
Oh, I love this question. So, during delivery, it is very important to check the speech and hearing of the baby. Why is this? Because most babies that didn't cry at birth do develop speech and language problems. And when you check hearing after delivery, we are going to know that, is this child hearing? Is he not hearing? What can we do to do further assessment? That will actually help us to be proactive, to know what to do to manage that hearing. But if you didn't check hearing ability of the child after delivery, and the child did not cry at birth, and you leave the child to develop that way, the child have a big tendency of developing speech and hearing problems later in life.
What about, because I know when I had my son, at a point they had us check for something called tongue-tie.
Tongue-tie, yeah.
What exactly is that, and how does that contribute to speech delay, if anything?
Tongue-tie is just a big, thick skin underneath of our tongue, so holding the tongue down. So, but it does not contribute to speech delay. Rather, it contributes to articulation disorder. Yeah, because the child's tongue may not be able to stick out properly, both left, right, or even do anti-clockwise within the mouth, or even go up to touch the hard palate. So that's the upper roof. So when the child wants to stick out tongue, you'll see having like a V shape. It will draw it back. But it does not contribute to speech delay. Rather, it contributes to articulation disorder. Because tongue is one of the major parts of our speech organ that helps us to articulate words, meaning say word and sound properly, the way it should be.
Thank you so much. Now, thank you for giving us an understanding of what hearing is and speech itself is. So when you have issues concerning hearing and articulation or speech delivery, and we come to you as a practitioner, what are the basics for us to start, and what is the progressive way? Because I know a lot of this from our conversations have to deal with management. It's not a one-stop hocus-pocus magic trick. It's something that, you have to manage over time. So could you take us in first with hearing very briefly, and we could maybe focus mainly when it comes to speech, because personally for me, I serve in church, Harvesters International, at the Children's Church, and it's quite important for me to be able to know and how I can actually relate better with children at different developmental levels.
Thank you. So I'm glad that you asked me to start with the hearing, because without hearing, no one can develop a speech or even a meaningful speech.
Yes.
Now, so hearing is the ability to receive sound, and the brain receives that sound, then you'll be able to actually interpret the sound and use your speech or language to communicate. And when this happens, it begins to actually affect every living soul to be able to live a normal life. So now, this is where the issue comes here. The for the hearing loss, it means that this individual have problem to receive the needed sound. The sound is reduced or not even hearing at all for the brain to receive and interpret the sound, because the brain responsible for the interpretation, it also controls our speech and hearing, called the temporal lobe. So this is how it happens now. So we have types of hearing loss that every individual do go through. One is a conductive hearing loss. So when it's within our outer ear and the middle ear. And outer ear, we're talking about this, the auricle here, this, and then the auditory canal getting to the eardrum. Eardrum is where the sound goes to and amplify the sound. Then it now goes to the malleus, incus, and stapes, the three smallest bone in the middle ear. So, but then here now is that there are some people that do have what we call conductive hearing loss. It means it can be that there is wax impaction. You know, when people always, wax impaction is these fatty substances is so brownish in the ear. So, and people usually use cotton boards or something to remove it, which is really very wrong. So some people, those wax can actually be impacted. So it can produce a whole lot of wax in their ear. And when that happens, now sound wave won't be able to travel normal to the tympanic membrane called eardrum. And when that happens, the hearing will reduce. But then this is where the issue occurs. Some people will be using cotton boards to trying to clean it off, which is very wrong, all right? Because that wax actually lubricates our hearing. It traps foreign body from getting to the tympanic membrane. And once you are using that, these are actually risks involved here. You are pushing those wax back to the eardrum that receives sound to amplify sound. Number two, it can actually perforate the eardrum too. That is, there can be a hole in it while doing that. So, and when that happens, the hearing will also reduce. So we don't encourage people to use cotton board or use anything to clean the ear. So if you notice that your hearing is being reduced or you're having an itching in the ear, go to ENT, where there will be what we call audiological evaluation.
Wow.
All right. So now if the wax is being impacted, you know, we'll do what we call ear syringing to remove those wax. Not you using cotton board. It's very risky. The risk of that cotton board is that you push those wax back, it will block the hearing. Number two, eardrum can be perforated. Even the wool can also be removed and also block the hearing. So.
Wow, this is, I couldn't help but my facial expression, I think, says it all. I didn't realize the risk of what we kept on doing by something as simple as just, you know, using a cotton
Extremely
board.
wrong.
And sometimes you feel like you're in some ecstasy somewhere, whereas you're actually damaging things that could affect your hearing.
Extremely wrong.
So, real quick, let's get to the speech part. The truth is, I think we're just hitting the surface on a lot of things because it's important to get an introduction. So we're definitely going to have you give us a detailed analysis when it comes to speech, speech delay, speech assessment, and World Speech Day itself. But just in summary, what are some basic things we can get in commemoration of World Speech Day? We have just a few minutes before we round up the show.
Okay. World Speech Day is being celebrated to encourage individuals to be able to communicate properly, share ideas, thoughts, and also share feelings to promote peace and unity and equality in the world. But then here now is that the speech and hearing also affect individuals too, from an angle of a speech language pathologist. So this is what we actually do, because in the society where we live in the schools, anywhere in the world, we have problems regarding individuals with a speech-language disorder. So what we do here is that we actually encourage the schools, we encourage the society, the religious organizations to actually, when you detect that someone is not talking properly, reduce the stigma, then you have to actually seek for a professional help. So do not make mockery of the individual with a speech-language disorders. Rather, seek for way to support the child, even in the school. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Like I said, we're definitely going to have to get into this in detail because, like I said, we've just scratched it on the surface level. But that's so much we can take on the show for now. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for staying tuned to Health Digest. As you did hear a thing or two in commemoration of World Speech Day and World Hearing Day. But it's okay, hold your horses. It's not the end of the conversation. We're going to be continuing that, but that is what we can take on the show today. As we leave, I'm going to leave you with just 2 tips. The fasting season is coming to an end, but we're still in it on both sides of the coin, the Christians, the Muslims, and many other religions as well. So, few tips. Stay hydrated when you're fasting to ensure your energy levels are high, and also do make sure that you eat right. Start with nutrients. Start your fast if you're, breaking it with light foods. Stay hydrated and ensure that you get enough rest. That's it for me on the show today. I'm Ukemere Tokwa. Stay blessed and not stressed. Peace.